This is the Synthetic Signal Report for Tuesday, June 26, 2026, in the afternoon. Today we track a dossiers compiled on facial recognition activists by Madison Square Garden, a critical vulnerability in the Ansible automation platform, and the systemic constraints mapped by the Cascade Graph. We also discuss the rising automation at General Motors, the integration of FDA-Cleared AI for heart disease detection, and the physical limitations of the U.S. power grid.
Madison Square Garden has been identified as maintaining a detailed internal dossier on activists who have publicly opposed their use of facial recognition technology. This report is a significant escalation in how private corporations manage public dissent. The dossier includes not just public information, but tracked movements and associations, effectively creating a surveillance blacklist. The core issue here is the normalization of using advanced biometric monitoring to penalize those who challenge a company's data practices. For the security community, this signals a shift where corporate security teams are acting less like property managers and more like domestic intelligence entities.
A critical vulnerability has been disclosed in the Red Hat Ansible automation platform, versions 2.5 and 2.6. The flaw exists in the event-driven Ansible WebSocket API. It allows unauthorized access because the endpoint fails to verify user permissions during processing. This is a severe issue for infrastructure as code environments, as it allows an attacker to manipulate the automation pipeline directly. Administrators are urged to restrict access to the affected endpoint immediately.
A new project called the Cascade Graph has surfaced, mapping the physical and economic constraints of the global AI build-out. The creator has linked nearly 400 nodes and over 500 edges to visualize industrial choke points and energy limitations. This is a vital resource for understanding the physics of AI, the reality that compute is not a bottomless resource. It explicitly illustrates how energy scarcity and manufacturing bottlenecks are shaping the future of model deployment. General Motors has installed dozens of new robot arms at its flagship electric vehicle factory in Detroit, while 1,300 workers remain on temporary layoff. This move is sparking significant union pushback. It represents a broader trend in manufacturing. The rapid transition to automated assembly lines is no longer just about efficiency, but is being used as a wedge during labor disputes. The automation push serves as a clear signal that the cost-benefit analysis for vehicle manufacturing is heavily tilting toward full robotics. Open Evidence is set to integrate new FDA-cleared artificial intelligence designed to detect heart disease. This transition of AI from a diagnostic assist tool to an FDA-verified medical component marks a new phase in healthcare tech. By automating the screening process, this technology aims to identify risk markers earlier. It reflects a growing industry confidence in machine-learned clinical insights, provided they pass the stringent validation requirements of federal regulators. A stark assessment from IEEE Spectrum highlights that the United States is currently using only half of its potential electrical grid capacity. The bottleneck is not necessarily the lack of power plants, but the administrative and structural inability to distribute that power to where it is needed, specifically for the surge in data centers and domestic manufacturing. The current grid architecture is failing to scale at the pace required by the digital infrastructure boom. Community sentiment is currently preoccupied with the algorithmic monocultures in hiring paper. Engineers are debating whether standardized, AI-driven recruitment is creating a dangerous lack of cognitive diversity in tech firms. Security chatter remains focused on the recent NoCoDB vulnerabilities, specifically the spreadsheet import endpoint that was being exploited as an unauthenticated HTTP proxy. There is also significant noise regarding the LastPass breach via the external service clue. The consensus among developers is a hardening stance against latest tag dependencies. The recent push to enforce strict lock files, such as PackageLock.json and PoetryLock, has moved from a recommendation to a standard security requirement. The general mood is one of cautious skepticism toward automated systems that lack deep, manual oversight.